So we're joined today for this Leaders in Lockdown special with the leader of Scarborough Council, Steve Siddons. Thank you very much for joining us today. First of all, if I could just ask you, before we get into these listener questions, how have the last 12 months been for you as the leader of the council?
Well, it's been something that I'd never have anticipated. I think that's probably the same for everyone. It's brought a huge amount of challenges. It's brought a lot of sadness to some people. Thankfully, I've not had that in my family and relationships, but it's been quite a challenge for everyone, and I think more than anything, I've got to praise the people who work under me at Scarborough Borough Council for the dedication that they've shown over the last 12 months and the fantastic work that they've done in delivering the services that were necessary to carry on delivering.
Without further ado, then we'll get into these listener questions. This one is from John Crompton. He asks, why have concerts at the Scarborough Open Air Theatre been postponed until after the 21st of June? He goes on to add, under the government's roadmap, open air entertainment is allowed from the 17th of May, albeit at reduced capacity. Given that no concerts were held last year, wouldn't it have made sense to hold a couple of the planned concerts in early June at reduced capacity as a dress rehearsal for the main season when things will hopefully return to normal?
That's a very interesting point, but unfortunately, these things have to be planned many months in advance, and the lockdowns that John talks about, or the reduction in lockdowns from the middle of May, are not guaranteed. They're the earliest date that might happen, and it's very difficult to change an event like the open air theatre events at short notice. Artists are busy, they have other commitments. But I think the most important thing is that we have to think about the public and safety and not rush into this. I think there's an opportunity for us to extend the season at the other end, and we will do that if we possibly can. But there's a huge amount of money goes into each of these concerts, a lot of preparation, a lot of expense, and trying to do that on a reduced capacity is very difficult, and the artists quite often don't want to play to much reduced audiences. They like to see a packed audience. That helps them with their performance. So for those reasons, we decided that it was best to play it safe and go for a little bit later start.
The next listener question then, a bit more of a generic one. How badly has the pandemic affected residents and businesses in the borough?
Well, I think that will vary from person to person and from business to business. The pandemic's been a huge, unprecedented challenge to us, and particularly for those people who've lost loved ones over the last 12 months. I'd certainly extend my sincere sympathies for that. And businesses and employers have faced months of uncertainty about what's going to happen. But I think that the important thing is that we're all in this together, and whether it's homeschooling, not seeing relatives, having to be resilient and adapt, we've all done that together. And I think we've all worked together and it's brought out the best in people, I think, as well as some of the worst times for people. But I think that everyone's been affected in some way or other, whether it's large or small.
As you've alluded to there has been plenty of highs and lows in this last year. Could you outline the measures you've taken to protect the public then?
Well, it's been multifaceted, and as I said earlier, I really admire greatly the staff who work at Scarborough Borough Council and the support staff and partners who worked with us, that we continue to give to our communities. I think that people look to the council to to help and support them in difficult times. And who would have thought of a more difficult time than the one we've had over the last 12 months? But if you take, for example, business grants, staff have worked 7 days a week to get these business grants out. They know how important they've been to businesses large and small. And at the last count, the council had distributed over £90 million worth of grants over the last 12 months. And I think that we've done things like being part of patrols, checking that businesses who shouldn't be open have not opened and are adhering to the rules, helping to support those businesses that have managed to stay open. We want to help people stay open and work, provided it's within the rules. And practical support for a whole range of people, whether it's shielding, self-isolation, providing information, which we've done at great length on our website and through other social media. Everything that we could do to help people stay safe. And we've also employed COVID marshals, which have been out supporting the police, helping to make sure people follow the rules, keep the distance, wear masks where appropriate, and so on. And I think all those things are something that the council can be proud of over the last 12 months. I think we've done everything we can to support both residents and businesses through this very, very difficult time.
Moving forwards then, what are your plans for recovery?
Well, for those people who listened to the Cabinet, which was broadcast live yesterday, they will have heard that us talk about a detailed recovery plan. But this doesn't happen by error. It happens because it's been planned thoroughly, and staff have worked very hard to think of every possible combination of things that we could do to help residents and businesses as we come out of lockdown. So whether it's providing council services, providing support to them, whatever people need to help them through the next few months as we pull out of lockdown, hopefully, then the council has tried to think those things through and provide a plan for them. And I can't go without mentioning some of the things that have happened more recently. People may be aware of us winning a large sum of money from the government on the Towns Fund, 37.5 million. People are going to see that, see those benefits appear in the streets, whether it's from greening up our high street to artwork on empty shop windows, to new signage, to wayfinding, digital Wi-Fi that's free for people to use in the town centre. All things to help and encourage the people who are going to be coming here over the summer. We're all still facing this difficulty of going abroad. So I think we will see a big influx of people coming to places like Scarborough, Whitby and Filey. And we're doing everything we can to make sure that visitors have a safe and enjoyable time, but residents are kept safe as well.
And just lastly, Steve, Scarborough consistently has more incidents of fixed penalty notices for breaches of restrictions than anywhere in North Yorkshire. That's mostly for residents mixing indoors. What's your reaction to that? Is there any more the council can or could have done to tackle this?
I think it's very disappointing that Scarborough in particular seems to have suffered more from this than maybe some other places. And I can't really explain why that is. There is no particular logic to it. It's certainly nothing to do with the fact that we're a seaside resort or visitor numbers or things like that. It seems to be a small group of mainly local people who have decided for whatever reason that they weren't going to comply with the rules. But I do say and emphasise it was and is a minority of people. And whenever that has happened, the police and our community safety teams have reacted quickly and gone out and made sure that those people are kept safe and that they understand the reasons why they have to follow the rules. But I think that what I would do is praise the vast majority of people who have done absolutely the right thing and continue to do that and play their part in making sure that we all stay safe as we hopefully move out of this terrible period of time that we've all suffered over the last 12 months.